Hello my friends, what's up, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video, which is going to be my favorite makeup and beauty purchases of 2020. It's hard to believe, and at the same time, so relieved that it's the end of the year, of the infamous year 2020. But there was a lot of good makeup that came out of this year, and I want to share with you those standout products that for me were the best, like my most favorite from the year. So if you're interested in seeing all the products, there's a lot, then just keep on watching. Okay guys, so before I forget, because I am horrible about putting what I am wearing on my face in the description box below, two things that I know I will be asked about. On my eyes is the Huda Gold palette. This is the one that's only available through Cult Beauty. I did pick this one up and that's what's on my eyes today. As far as the lips, it is MAC Night Moth. This is a very old lip liner. I've had this forever. And then Lime Crimes Wicked. So definitely a very vampy red. So that's what I've got going on in case, not in case, because I know I'll forget to put it in the description box. So I have a lot to go through. I'm going to move very quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time on each product, but there is a lot to talk about. So let me start with what's in my little basket here. Now this is going to be a mix of, it's primarily makeup, but there is some beauty, like as far as skincare, makeup remover type of thing, and then just a couple of hair products. So let's move into it. The first hair product, let's just go with that, is the, I think, what brand was this by? I can't even remember. I will put it in the description box below. I feel like it's Conair or something. It is a drugstore brand, but it is the Unbound Beauty in Motion Curler. This is my favorite curler of life. It's easy and my hair holds a curl for days. In fact, I pulled it back, but I'm on day 3 hair and it still has the curl. So this is a very unusual hair curler. You basically put your hair in through this little opening, you hold the button, and it pulls your hair in and twirls it around the little curler on the inside. It tells you when it's done, and voila. So this was like $100. I did pick this up at the beginning of the year at Ulta when they were having like 5 times the points on hair, and this is one of my favorite purchases of life, quite frankly. So definitely one of my faves for this year. So next up is the Cetaphil Gentle Makeup Remover. If you are familiar with the Lancome by Facile, I can't remember what exactly it's called. This is an exact dupe in the drugstore and it's $5. It is so gentle. It's got that like oil to water ratio or whatever, and I don't know that it's oil because usually, yeah, oil free. So it's like a more slippery substance. I don't know what these things are made of, but it's with aloe vera, ginseng, and green tea. Removes stubborn makeup while conditioning skin. Dermatologist tested, oil-free, fragrance-free. I have been using this for pretty much the majority of this year. I got this early this year, and it's still going. I still have some left. So definitely one of my very favorite purchases. I will not be going back to high-end when it comes to that. The other product is the Neutrogena Makeup Remover Melting Balm. This, I'm telling you, is a dupe for like the Clinique Take the Day Away. It's what, $10? I think it's $10. Again, I will leave it linked below. But this, now granted, it is a smaller version. It's 2 ounces, whereas the Clinique I think is like 3.8 or something. Even if you bought 2 of these, that's $20 compared to the $30 that the Clinique one is. I love this. It works exactly the same. Neutrogena is very gentle. So typically they don't use fragrances and stuff like that. They're usually very tested before, releasing. And so this is absolutely hands down. Again, I will not be going back to high end. Granted, Pharmacy makes a great one. There's a lot of great ones out there. I can't justify the price when this one works as good. And it's luxurious balm to oil and vitamin E. So it may not be for everyone, but definitely it's for me. This particular product is newer, not necessarily newer to me because I had tried it in the past, but quite frankly, I came back to it and I can't even tell you how I love it, how I love that it leaves my skin. So this is the Purity Made Simple by Philosophy. This is a super classic product, but I love this more than my Youth to the People Dream Cleanser or whatever it's called. That's why you're not going to see that one in this video. I liked that one for so long this year, but I'm at a point where I'm kind of over it. And this is exactly what I have been looking for. And I am so glad that I picked this up this year because it just really does the job. I go in with that balm, I then go in with this, and my skin isn't stripped of its moisture, which has been an issue for me here lately, especially. But this one is so, so good. I did pick this one up during the Ulta Black Friday event. And so this one is a newer purchase, so definitely haven't been using it all year, but I had used it in the past. It's just that you know how your tastes change, your interests change, and finally I'm like, now I see the hype for this. So definitely a favorite. This one is the Josie Maran Argan Infinity Intensive Creamy Oil. Y'all know I use the Josie Maran Body Butter as my night cream most nights. I bought this a few months back and it's not something I use on the daily. It is a very, very rich moisturizer. It is almost like Vaseline. That's how thick it is. But I put it, like right now in the winter months, I put it right here where my nose gets so chapped, right here where I get flaking, and then right here, because those are the dry spots for me. And this, I put it over top of my moisturizer, and it's a very, I don't know how to describe it to you, but it goes to a very like Vaseline type of look. It's very, very thick. So if you have dry skin, this is for you. And her body butters, her creams, pretty much everything she comes out with, she markets to be able to use head to toe. So it is safe for the face. It says infused with Josie's 100% pure argan oil, this therapeutic creamy blend of essential fatty acids and vitamin E can be used in an infinite number of ways. It instantly soothes and smooths rough, chapped, or dry skin while illuminating the complexion and leaving the skin aglow. I love this, and I think it was like $28. This was hands down one of my best skincare purchases for this year. Another skincare purchase that I think everybody or a lot of people are gonna have in their 2020 video is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow, the Pore Tight Toner. It has a long name, I'm not gonna go through all that. This has been essential for laying the groundwork for my nighttime skincare routine. This thing, I don't know, it's like step one of moisture before I go in with my actual moisturizer. I notice a difference when I don't use this. It's almost like my moisturizer doesn't sink in as much as when I use this. It leaves my skin feeling very refreshed. The Pore Tight, I don't know that I completely see it like tightening my pores, but there's definitely a difference there to my skin. Definitely my favorite toner of life and hands down for this year. I've talked about this product a ton of times, the Isle of Paradise Self-Tanning Drops. I'm a super lazy self-tanner. My legs are the most important part of my body that I want to self-tan. Granted, this does not have a color guard, but I find it very easy to use. Mix a few drops into my lotion. I put lotion on after I shower anyways, and then just rub it into my legs. It has made such a world of difference, especially if I know I'm gonna be in pictures or something, which sounds random, but I say that because when we were gonna go to Disney World, I mean on the daily, I was lathering up with this stuff and it just made a huge difference. So love. If you are a lazy self-tanner like myself, then this is right up your alley. Over the course of this year, I have almost finished this bottle. I did repurchase a backup during the sale. Okay, now this one is still sealed because I'm still finishing out my other one, but the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas, hands down my favorite primer of life. I am so glad that I picked this up this year. Last year, one of my very favorite primers was the disc version, the balm version of the Silk Canvas, and this one to me, hands down, is better than the other one, for lack of a better word. This one just does something to my skin to where my foundation looks so flawless. It's moisturizing. There's just something about it. It's very spa-like because of the Tatcha scent. I don't think there will ever be another primer that can compete with this. So definite award winner in my book, at least for this year. Let's see, foundation, there's a couple. This is no surprise. The Rare Beauty foundation is everything. It is everything I've ever searched for in a foundation. It makes my skin look flawless. It's not heavy. It's not cakey. It doesn't clog my pores. There is just something about this foundation that got everything right, at least for my skin type. So I love this foundation without spending too much time on it. I'm 210N, and I mean, everything is perfect about this foundation. Some people may not like it because of the serum consistency. I find that that works so perfect for me. Next is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation. Before this one came along, this one was my favorite foundation of life. I still love it. It's just that I love this one a little bit more. This one also, it's very light. It's got a very whipped texture. This is the way that the packaging is. I don't know, feel like some people love it, some people hate it. But this is a very lightweight foundation that makes your skin just look so, again, something about it. It's not cakey, it's not gross looking, it doesn't clog my pores. It just looks very smooth, very natural, very put together. And I struggle to find a foundation that meets every criteria, that checks every box for me. There's some that I like very much, but you know, could be better. And these two foundations just for me are the best. So that's what we've got going on there. As far as concealer, there is a concealer that literally blew my socks off for 2020, and it was the Pat McGrath concealer. This concealer looks so hydrating on my under eyes that no other concealer has been able to pull that off. It is just, it looks airbrushed, it looks smooth, I don't get a ton of creasing, it just looks healthy. And I ended up finally getting my right shade, LM9. And concealer, for me, shade is everything. If you get the wrong shade, if it's too light and you're like, poof, you look stark white, or if it's too deep and it kind of looks crepey and kind of, then it can totally turn you off to a concealer. This, finally, I got the right shade and I was like, now I see it. And it has since become my favorite foundation of this year. And quite frankly, my favorite concealer overall. It's just perfect. Again, LM9, I am a light to light medium neutral skin tone, so this would be your shade if you are in the market for this concealer. So moving on, let's go into a couple of highlighters. So this particular highlighter is the Nabla Skin Glazing. Mine is in the shade Amnesia. I picked mine up during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty in the spring, and I love this so much. I did not expect to love this highlighter as much as I did. It is just that skin glazing. Like my face looks, it does look like just a glaze. It looks very wet. It looks very slick. It's very beautiful. But that's what I like in a highlighter. Not a ton of people are, you know, all for that. Let me give you this swatch right here. This one, don't mind that. That's where I had the creamy oil. And so now it just looks like a slick mess. But there we go. So very beautiful, easy to work with, easy to build, and it's the type of highlighter that I love. I look like a glazed donut, and for the price point, I think I paid like 12 something for this because of the 21 Days of Beauty. Definitely one of my faves for this year. In that same line, now I'm gonna cover this up because we keep my channel PG here. So this is the NARS palette they released back in the spring. I will tell you it is the OX palette, so take for it what you want. It does come with 2 blushes and a highlight. The highlight is, I'm wearing one of the blushes, but the highlight is what I'm wearing today. It's from this palette. Every time I wear it, I get asked in a video what I'm wearing. So this is by far one of the most blinding highlights I have ever picked up, and I've never had that from NARS. Usually NARS is like, they're good, but they're not this good. In addition, the blushes are so pretty. This was just, I reached for this so much this year that it had to be in this video. Like, there is no other way, because I just loved this palette so much. I don't frequently mention it on my channel, again, because of the name. I just like to keep it kind of, you know, toned down, but yeah, it's incredible. So definitely one of my favorite purchases. And you know, I love getting a palette for the face. Like, that is the route I like to go, something that has everything in a one-stop shop, and that is it. So keeping in line with blushes, you guys, the Patrick Ta, what are these called? The Double Take Cream and Powder Blush. By far one of the best blushes of my life. and I'm so glad that he came out with these. Definitely one of my favorite purchases this year. I do own two, She's So LA and then the peachy one, whatever that one's called, I can't remember. Of the two, I think I like this one more because if you go with a super dramatic look, this is a very neutral blush without looking too deep, too bronzy. Like, it doesn't look like bronzer on my skin, it looks like blush, but it's the perfect neutral. And these creams, whatever is in them, they look so glowy on my skin that this is just such a double whammy with the amazing blush and the little blush topper because you use the cream over the powder. And this is perfection, quite frankly. I did not expect to love these as much as I did. I love the brand, so I remember picking them up, or picking one up, because I was like, yeah, I definitely want to try one, but I did not anticipate just loving them as much as I did. That's why I ended up picking this one up, because I knew I would end up using it a ton. So definitely a favorite of 2020. I hope he keeps coming out with more innovative stuff like that. It's just awesome. So this one's not going to be any surprise to you. The Fenty Creme bronzer in the shade Macchiato. This one was perfection. And what's funny is this one grew on me because when I first picked it up, I was like, I like it, but I like my Huda Tantour more. That has since changed. It's funny how that happens. And this is what I reach for every single time. I haven't touched my Huda Tantour in months. This one is so good. It leaves my skin healthy looking, and that's why I like it. It gives my skin like a glow, like a health to it. And the only thing I don't like is that my brush, when it sheds, it leaves the little hairs in here, and I don't like that at all. But this is the super perfect shade for me. Again, it's in 03 Macchiato. It is so difficult to overdo it with these because they blend out so easily. And this product has been over talked about, quite frankly, but there's a reason, and I couldn't not include it in this video. Okay, y'all, moving on because this video is already getting very long. I have to be careful with how I open this because it's broken. But the Charlotte Tilbury highlighter that she released for holiday, mind blown. I'm not even kidding. This is not the typical highlight that I go for. I mean, I don't like ones that look powdery, and I can't really, it's broken, so it's hard to really show you, but I don't go for ones that look powdery in the pan, that have almost like a pink hue. This one is so different. Once you put it on the skin, it is such a glow, but a glow from within, but I don't like subtle. So that already tells you that it's not super subtle. I don't even know how to describe it to you. This is one of those products where you really kind of have to test it for yourself to know what everybody's talking about. But this was everything I did not expect. Yeah, I guess I should have expected it given that I loved the palette so much. This has been the year of Charlotte Tilbury discovery for me, and oh my gosh, it took the end of 2020 for me to get my hands obviously on this because that's when it was released. So of course, haven't had the whole year to use it, but I have been using it so consistently since I got it. It's really perfection. Same thing with this one. It's a newer purchase, but you guys, this Gucci bronzer, I don't even want to throw away the box because that's how much I want it to just be all in its little package. It was expensive. But this is everything you've seen. But if you haven't tried it, I don't even know how to tell you you need to try it. The best bronzer of my life. It is so smooth, so perfect. The tone, this is 03 medium, I think, and which I didn't think I needed the medium, but the medium was perfect. I had heard that number 2 was a little too red toned. I don't like red. So this is so perfect. I mean, if I had to pick like one of my top 3 products from 2020, this would be it. It's so nice. It glides on the skin, builds so easily. There's something about this bronzer that you need to look into if you haven't already. If you have Hourglass and you're like, oh no, Hourglass is my favorite, it was mine too, and this is officially my favorite. Best purchase of 2020, hands down. Okay, so one more before we go into the eyeshadow palettes, which will be the last of this video, but lipstick. I only have one lipstick. There wasn't a lot in the way of lips that wowed me this year. But I did pick a few of these up early on in the year. I think it was either January or February. And I reach for them quite often. They're by Wet n Wild. They're like $2 lipsticks, and I forget what they're called. I don't know. It's the one that has like the little Pat McGrath lips here on the bullet, which is crazy to me. But this particular one is in the shade Never Nude. I have a few of their neutral ones, and I like these better than some of the high-end lipsticks, which says a lot because I'm not huge on drugstore makeup. But there are sometimes things that come along that just really wow me, and I'm like, how is this less than what I'd pay at Sephora for something? So I love these. The formula is creamy. I don't find them to be very drying. They're matte, but I don't find them to be like parching to my lips. And I love topping these with a gloss. They just look so, so nice. Definitely happy with this purchase of 2020. One of the best. Obviously, it's the only lipstick product in this video, so it's amazing. Okay, let's go into a few eyeshadow palettes, and that will be it. So I've got about 5 or 6. This one, yes, it's still in the box. I like the box. Is the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Hypnotize that she came out with, the Bejeweled one for holiday. There's no need for me to go a whole lot into this. If you have already seen my video, you know the infatuation I have with this eyeshadow palette. This palette is literally what sold me on Charlotte Tilbury. I've had a couple of products of hers, but this is what literally just sucked me in, and now I'm such a fan of the brand. There's something about these shadows and how they work, how they apply, and how they look that just looks so elegant, so put together, so glowy, and I don't really know what else to say. They're so silky. I've never felt anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. I'm just over the moon for this palette, and there's no going back at this point. So definitely one of my favorite makeup purchases of 2020, without a question. This particular one is newer. I did not think I would be so rocked by this eyeshadow palette, but I can't stop using it. And it's the Huda Naughty Nude palette. I truly didn't think going in that I was going to be just so mesmerized and so wanting to reach for it. You guys know nudes aren't totally my thing, and that's not that this is all nudes. There's a lot of rosy tones in here, but typically I go for like brights, and you know, this palette is just on another level for quality. I don't remember hers being this good. I mean, I don't remember. I just did a video not too long ago, so I do remember. But truly, I don't know. This one is my favorite of her large palettes at this point. The mattes blend so easy. If you want like a one shade in your crease and out the door, this is it. I don't know. Something about this palette is just so amazing. I know that one shade freaks everybody out. It doesn't freak me out to the point where I want to like take it out of the palette or anything, but it's probably not going to get used. Anyways, definitely amazing. So let's see, a couple of Natasha Denona palettes, and there are 2 of her small ones, which is primarily what she released this year. The Love palette and the Bronze palette. I love the price point on these, but you also know I am a sucker for anything pink and anything Valentine's Day, and she released this right around Valentine's Day. Now, granted, when I first used this, when I was testing this out for the video, it wasn't my favorite. Out of all her palettes, it's still not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite purchases of 2020. And I don't know how to describe to you how that is even a thing. The pinks, I don't have a ton of pink. For a pink lover, I don't have a ton of pink in my eyeshadow collection, and I just love that she came out with a pink collection. So this particular palette gets used quite a bit, even when I would just want to use 1 or 2 shades, like something in my crease and something on my lid. I reach for this because it's a little more unique than what I have. I love this, and the price point, perfect. Same thing with the Bronze palette. Something about this one and again, it's neutrals, which I don't typically go for, but it had a ton of those metallic shades that I really love. And this palette makes my skin look so healthy. It gives me that look like I just went out into the sun, which 2020, I didn't go to the pool once for obvious reasons, but I love this palette. It makes me look like I've been in the sun without having been in the sun. It's perfect. The quality is impeccable on this palette. And yeah, if you haven't tried it out, I highly suggest, but definitely 2 of my favorites for this year. This next one is, I already know, going to surprise some of y'all, especially if you are new. If you have seen this video, then it's not going to be any surprise at all. But the Melt Millennial Pinks palette, one of my favorites of this year. So many people hated it. I love it. I don't know why there's so much hate for it. Maybe I don't know, I hate to say inconsistency within palettes, but mine just works. And again, I am a Valentine's Day lover, and this came out right around Valentine's Day. I love this for super feminine, girly looks, and I don't have any kind of color story like this in my collection. So this for me was one of the best releases of 2020. I love it. It's just, there's a unique factor to it that really draws me in. So the next pink palette that is not going to surprise you is the Violet Voss Sakura Blossom. This is one of her very best. If you love pink, you have to love pink. This is a pink lover's dream and a pink hater's nightmare. This thing is so good. The metallics are so rich, so opaque, and there are so many different tones and shades of pink to work with in this palette. The amazing thing also about Violet Voss is that her price point is really, really good. So you get amazing quality for your price tag. And I find that I reach for her palettes like quite a bit. And the quality for her metallics, which is what I go for, is always so good. The mattes are also very good. They never swatch great, but they're always super great performing on the eyes. And the packaging, which y'all know her packaging is usually pretty basic, pretty standard. This one has like the little flowers. She kind of went a little bit above and beyond with that one. Then we've got the Morphe Maddie Ziegler palette. I don't think I like a Morphe palette in my collection as much as I like this one. Something about this one is just very soft, very dreamy, but it packs a punch. These shades are very pigmented, easy to use. Something about the formula used in this palette, which maybe it's all in my head, but I feel like this formula is different from other Morphe palettes. It's just easier to work with. They build so nicely. They have good pigmentation, and the metallic shades are really amazing, which again, sign me up for anything metallic. So the shades in this palette, the color story is so nice. There's a good mix of pops yet neutrals, a lot to play with in this palette, and for me this was one of my favorites for this year. Now we've come to the very last product, the last palette of this video, and it is the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity. This palette for me is one of my very favorites in my collection. Granted, I've told y'all this before, I already had 2/3 of this palette before it was even released because I did get my hands on the Star Wars palettes from last year and I loved them. So I knew going in that I already had majority of it. I already knew going in that I love the shades. But something about having it in this format, something about having 6 new shades and having it all laid out in the same place, I don't know, it just drew me in. And quite frankly, I reach for this way more than those Star Wars palettes. So definitely this is getting so much more use than the others ever did, which is sad. These are such amazing quality. They are the most intense, pigmented, blinding foiled and metallics you will come across, and for the price point, I think it was like $78. This is hands down probably, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck for all of 2020 releases if you like this type of thing. So yeah, I can't speak this palette's praises enough. If you have been like wondering, don't look. This speaks for itself. Let me give you this little swatch right here. So if you've been wanting to try Pat McGrath, if you've been wanting to get your hands on some really metallic foiled shades, whatever the case, hands down the best purchase of 2020, the best, in my opinion, release as far as bang for your buck. I love this so much, and it's crazy because I already owned a good bit of it, but oh my gosh, one of the best for 2020. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of this video. So many products, but obviously not a drop in the bucket to all of the releases for 2020. There was some good makeup this year. This has been such a downer year, but in the line of makeup, it definitely was great. All right, my friends, well, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you again for stopping by to chat some makeup with me. I hope you enjoyed, hope you found it helpful. And before I let you go, I do need to give you a very quick verse of the day. Today's comes from Jonah 2:9, and it is a very short verse, and it says, "Salvation comes from the Lord." If you are in a place of hardship, if you are searching, if you feel empty, whatever the case may be, I'm going to throw up a phone number for you to call for prayer. I mean, it's no, it doesn't mean you're committing to anything. you can just call for prayer, because we are going through some crazy times, and some of us are feeling very maybe alone, very depressed. And you know what? Jesus can heal that. He can give you a peace and a love that no other human being can. So just call the number and ask for prayer. That's all you have to do if you want to. You don't have to. Know that I love each and every one of you, and I will see you in the very next video. So until then, my friends, stay safe and stay well. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon.